Hello and welcome. You're watching the Tov Jewish News Channel. My name is Michael Vilinsky, and my guest today is Rabbi Pesach Wolicki, president of the Israel 365 Action site. Pesach, great to have you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Rabbi Wolicki, I often hear people say here in Israel that Islam is closer theologically to Judaism than Christianity is because Islam doesn't have all the Trinity doctrine, which kind of makes things more difficult to explain in terms of monotheism and Christianity, because you divide the divine entity into three. But it really never sat well with me, the fact that people claim that Islam is closer to Judaism than Christianity, because Islam, as we all know, doesn't believe in the Old Testament the same way us and Christians do. They say that the Old Testament is compromised. It was falsified by the Jews. What are your thoughts on that? Is Christianity closer to Judaism than Islam is?
I'm really happy you asked this question. It's something I think about a lot, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding by people. So really, thank you for asking it. First of all, the statement that you made that the opinion that people hold or think is the normative Jewish position, that Islam is closer to Judaism than Christianity because of the Trinity versus Islam being monotheistic, is the position of the Rambam, of Maimonides. However, it's not the position of most authorities. Even in the Rambam, even those people who know that position of the Rambam don't know other things the Rambam said about Christianity and Islam. And here's an interesting source that you might find useful. In the Tshuvot of the Rambam, Tshuvot are the questions and answers where people send questions to rabbis and they answer them. And it's lesser known writings of the Rambam where he was also a rabbi and he answered questions. And someone asked the Rambam if it's permissible to teach Torah to non-Jews. And nowadays, of course, was in the 12th century when the Rambam was asked the question. And the Rambam's answer, listen carefully, the Rambam's answer is that it is permissible to teach Torah, and he says, ha-mitzvot u'perushim, the commandments and their commentaries, it's permissible to teach Torah to Christians, but not to Muslims. So that's interesting. That means that the same Rambam who said that Islam is not idolatry because it's monotheistic, and Christianity is idolatry because of the Trinity, that same Rambam says that you can teach Torah to Christians, but it's forbidden, it's asur to teach Torah to Muslims. And the Rambam explains, because Christianity believes in the Tanakh the same way that we do, that's his words, because there's no difference in their belief of the Tanakh and ours. If we explain something to them, we teach something to them, they'll be open to hear it. But the Muslims who reject our Tanakh will reject our teachings. That's one interesting point. The second point I want to make is basically to agree with you, but to expand on the point. The fact that the Muslims reject the Tanakh, I don't feel comfortable with the Rambam's formulation that Islam is monotheistic and therefore it's closer to Judaism and Christianity is not, if that's what the Rambam meant, but the way people understand it. I'll tell you why I'm not comfortable with it. We are a biblical faith, a biblical religion. What we know about God is not only from our own thoughts, but it's from what's in the Torah, what's in the Tanakh. If I believe something about God that is contradicted by what it says in Tanakh, then what I believe is incorrect. And the only way we know who God is, what he wants, what he loves, what he hates, is from reading the Torah, reading the Tanakh. And therefore, if someone has a book that describes God as wanting different things, as loving different things, as hating different things, as commanding different things, then how can that person claim that it's the same God that I believe in? Now, the Christians also have their own writings, but their writings come later and don't contradict our writings. They take things in a different direction, but their later writings don't contradict the Tanakh. They believe in the Tanakh. So the basic understanding of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Har Sinai, the God of the creation story in Genesis, that God that we know from the Torah is the God that Christians believe in. They also believe in a Trinity, which according to most authorities in Judaism, for non-Jews is not idolatry. It's called shituf. That is the dominant position of most halachic authorities down to today, although it's not the position of Maimonides. The position of Maimonides is more famous, so most people think that it is the Jewish position. But the position of most halachic authorities is that Christianity is not idolatrous for non-Jews. It is forbidden for Jews because shituf, believing in God in conjunction with other details that are incorrect, is forbidden for Jews, but it's not forbidden for non-Jews. So I reject that assertion that Islam is closer to Judaism. I don't think it's true. I reject the concept that they believe in the same God as us. Just because they believe in a creator who's one God, I don't think that means that it's the same God that I believe in, because the God that I believe in, I know from the Tanakh.
I think in the same way that we criticize Christians, some Jews criticize Christians for the concept of Trinity, they should also criticize Islam, because Islam, as you know, has these yearly pilgrimages to the Kaaba, and the Kaaba is an old shrine for polytheistic gods that were pre-Islamic, right? So it also has some elements in it which can be easily connected to idolatry. So I think we're doing an unjust service for Christianity and Islam, both of them, because we only look at some aspects, some compromising aspects of one, but we ignore the compromising aspects of the other one. And also in the light of recent events, I really don't think we should continue with that narrative of, kind of saying that Christians who mostly support Israel are further away from us than Muslims who attack us.
Yeah, look, and like I said, I'll go back to what I quoted from the Rambam before. When the Rambam says that it's permissible to teach Torah to Christians but not to Muslims, it makes people very surprised. Why shouldn't I teach Torah to Muslims? And I think Maimonides, the Rambam, saw that although the Muslims at a theological level in their concept of who God is, it might not be idolatrous. Look, atheism is also not technically avodah zarah, but it's obviously as far away from our beliefs as anything else. And back to your point about in light of recent events, I'm much more concerned about how someone treats us than with what the details of their understanding of God are. And what's more, with Christianity's developments ever since the Reformation in the 17th century, all the way down till today, the 16th century, 17th century, all the way down till today, Christianity has been changing. It's been going through changes, and those changes are bringing it la'at la'at, slowly, closer to our way of seeing things in terms of how to see Tanakh and even in terms of how to see God. It's beyond the scope of this conversation to get into some of those details, but Christianity, most Jews have a very limited understanding of Christianity. We think about it in terms of what we see in movies of big Catholic churches, and they don't understand a lot of what's changing in Christianity today. But suffice it to say that Christianity is getting closer to what we want to see from the non-Jewish world. They're getting closer to being, what we pray for every day in the second paragraph of Aleinu, Yakiru v'yedu kol yoshvei tevel, that all the peoples of the earth shall recognize the God of Israel, shall recognize the God of the Bible. The Christians are much closer to that than the Muslims are at this point, and I think that's what we should focus on.
Rabbi Pesach Wolicki, thank you very much for this interview and for your insight on the relations between Christianity and Judaism.
Thank you very much. It's an honor.
Thank you also to all of our viewers that saw this interview. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you again. Have a great day.